This statement we are making is mainly in response to the rulings by the Court of Appeal this afternoon. We would like to say that this is not just a victory for IEBC or for Jubilee. This is a victory for Kenya. It's a victory for Kenyan people because Kenyans now have certainty that on 8th of August there will be the elections. For months and months, the people of Kenya have had to suffer relentless court cases and conspiracies from the former Prime Minister and his proxies against the elections. Today, it is clear, and we only regret that the former Prime Minister made fresh, outrageous statements about conspiracies of rigging. And we'd like to go to that in detail. What is clear is that whatever noise NASA may continue to make, the Court of Appeal, with a bench of 5, has spoken. The people of Kenya will be having the elections on 8th of August. And we believe that the people of Kenya will deliver a president with a fine track record and with the energy, the integrity, and the real heartfelt duty to want to transform Kenya. The fact that we have been made to witness for over 1 year the ramblings and trickery of ODM and later on NASA trying to discredit the elections in a last-ditch attempt to grab power through some other means other than elections is very sad, especially coming from people who previously have profiled themselves as reformers and being pro-democracy. There has been a blatant campaign to force a postponement of elections in August and subvert the will of the Kenyan people. And indeed, I think there is still a case in court trying to have those elections postponed. We hope that the ruling today marks the last of this very unfortunate experience in our electoral process. We now beg the ODM who are on the ballot, not NASA. It is ODM which is on the ballot, to please tell the people of Kenya what it is they will actually do. Tell the people of Kenya how you will make this country better. Tell the people of Kenya what plans do you have for infrastructure, for example, education, health, etc. People want to know why they should vote for you, not to have all these outrageous stories of election rigging. Kenyans are more intelligent than that. We want to assert that these cases have been part of a wider scheme to subvert the will of the Kenyan people. One, to make false claims against Jubilee and the president so that we can be kept busy addressing lies rather than issues. To make fake opinion polls conducted by companies associated with ODM or with Raila himself, his relatives, with fake polls. And today I'm told that he said that there is a poll which reveals that 70% are with him. I want to say that whoever gave him this information did not give him the right information. Actually, we found out from our secret polling that 90% are with him. So he understated. It's only that he should have clarified with those people that that is probably with respect to Siaya and Homa Bay. Constant claims accusing Jubilee of intending to rig elections, and yet it is on record that some people associated with ODM were caught in the process of trying to infiltrate the IEBC electronic systems. This was reported by the media. I'm not making this up. The same people are known to have been hacking banks. Some of them were caught. Those cases are in court. And we only caught, some were only caught. We don't know how many on the loose. So this constant talk about rigging, the way one Donald Trump used to say, we are extremely suspicious. And it's even more suspicious because it is known world over that it is easier to rig electronically by hacking into the system. And during the last elections in 2013, there was a hacking which took place, and it was Jubilee Alliance which was able to find out, and it was raised by the Jubilee Alliance when all the spoiled votes were being multiplied by a factor of 8. Why is it that they want nothing at all to do with any kind of manual backup? Because they don't want to have any paper trail. Because when you rig electronically, you will not be carrying the computers to the Supreme Court. All the evidence will be erased. So they don't want any paper trail. So if there's anybody who wants to rig, then I can submit here that it is NASA. The other tactic has been to blackmail Kenyans, that it has to be their way, and the courts have to rule in their way, or else they'll go to the streets, and when they say they want to go to the streets, basically they're telling Kenyans that they'll visit violence on us. To the extent that any kind of preparations to ensure that there will be no chaos during the elections, he wants to spin it that the police are being involved in the electoral process. But the government is responsible. Should there be chaos and people die and people lose property, the same jokers will be the first one to say that we were facing elections, why wasn't the government ready? Very, very simple. At Jubilee headquarters and as Secretary General of Jubilee, I have no chain of command with the forces. That question should go to Mr. Matiang'i.
Hillary, the other thing you should ask the former Prime Minister. The former Prime Minister wants to control how IEBC does its work. He wants to control which judge listens and makes judgment on cases they take to court. You have seen there are very clear strategies to make sure that particular judges, their cases end up before particular judges. He is now seeking to even control how the police will deploy their own officers. I think that the only thing we could ask of the former Prime Minister is, one, to respect all independent institutions, be it the judiciary, be it IEBC, be it the Office of the Inspector General, because even the Office of the Inspector General of Police is an independent office that should be able to deploy officers wherever they want. But the thing is, and I'll take you back to the year 2007, it is a very well choreographed campaign to discredit every institution that will be involved in this electioneering period, from IEBC to the police. Remember in 2007, the administration police officers who lost their lives after Raila Odinga incited the public that the police were going to be involved in rigging. It is the same script you see today. Raila Odinga now is talking about the police getting involved in rigging to prepare grounds for rejecting the results, because he knows inevitably he's losing this election. And I think we're also very happy with the statement that Justice Erastus Githinji said this morning, that to avoid any benefit of doubt, elections will be there on the 8th of August. So all we could ask our colleagues is to concentrate on the electioneering campaigns. Let ODM, as SG has said, go out and tell Kenyans what is it that they have to offer to Kenyans. That's what Jubilee we are doing.
And just to say, again, there's nothing magical about giving names of who is going where. I'm sure that any institution which is involved in this, and our police forces are involved in the electoral process, they must be told where you're going to be in charge. Now, why does Raila want to choose which officers go where?
Well, but I think the most important thing we need to ask ourselves, 42 policemen or key officers only, we have 44,000 polling stations. So for me, I think it will be unfortunate if you name someone and he's on his duty. I remember in 2013, we lost 13 policemen in Migori. Let us not go back to that. Just before the elections, when they were now transporting the ballot papers, young people just went and finished our own policemen. And I think what I want to tell politicians is that let us not prepare the ground that you want now when the ballot papers will be transported, the same thing to happen to our disciplinary officers. I think they are just going there, they are genuine. The former Prime Minister, and I keep on asking, if he tells Kenyans what is best for him to be handed over this throne, we can do it, but in a proper way. The most important thing he has to appreciate, in the morning of 8th, there is a young Kenyan who is a clerk, who is going to wake up to ensure there is a credible election. That's a young Kenyan who is like a son to the former Prime Minister. There will be a young presiding officer. There will be a young returning officer. All of them of the age of the late Fidel are the ones who are managing this time, these elections. They are our children. They are not old people. He should know they are his sons. They are willing to see Kenya move to the next level. He has to respect that also. That my sons and my daughters are going to sacrifice to see a credible election. That thing, it has to sink in my former Prime Minister's head properly. His sons and daughters are managing this election. That is the age. An age when you look at, they are productive, they are not tribalistic, and they are willing to see Kenya go on 8th with peaceful elections.
The last one for me. There's a meeting that the PM said that was...
Where was the meeting? Where was the meeting, it says? At Jubilee headquarters? Or where was it? You know, once again, I'm sorry. You know, I really try avoiding to talk about the Honorable former Prime Minister because it rubs some people the wrong way. So I really avoid. I don't like talking about it. I mean, I know there are people who, when they hear me talk about the former Prime Minister, they get goose pimples with anger. And I get it on social media and the rest of it. So I try not to. But, just like my sister here said, don't make such horrible allegations about our people. Let me tell you, even these police officers, these are Kenyans. Most of them very young, age 35 to 40, right? They have very specific responsibilities. You saw the ballot papers have come. There must be people to guard them. If you find, tomorrow we wake up and find that there was a break-in where the ballot papers were stored, the first people to complain would be that the government did not provide that security. But when we guard them, when the government guards them, then you say, no, those people have been put there to help in the rigging process. What do you want? And that's why I said the other time, please grow up. And I can say the same again today. When our own policemen are supposed to escort these ballot papers safely to every polling station, and then you turn the people against the policemen. And this has happened before in 2007 and I don't know, 2013, where policemen actually lost their lives because of this loose talk from leaders. It's unacceptable.
Indeed, ask yourself, Hillary, and that's the question that Kenyan people should be asking themselves. Would you rather have institutions like the office of the IG deploying policemen who are gazetted as officers of the law? Or would you rather deploy what Raila has called to deploy men in black to man polling stations? When will Kenyans be more secure? Having men in black manning polling stations, or having policemen oversee a secure election? And I think for us, we are saying we respect the office of the IG to deploy officers wherever they want to deploy officers. And it's up to them, and we are not interfering in that process whatsoever. The same way, we have only called on the office of the IG to ensure that those men in black who are being called to be deployed at polling stations, they are not used to intimidate either voters, they are not used to intimidate the polling clerks or the electoral officials. And that the office of the IG must ensure that those gangs of young men and men in black that are being called by ODM to go and protect what they say are their minority votes. If anything, we believe you have nothing to protect with a minority vote. And inevitably, they will lose this election.
And it's amazing. I mean, from one side of the mouth, they say they have 70%. On the other side of the mouth, they don't.
Yeah, really.
Come on.
But the most important thing also is that we have to appreciate one thing, and all politicians must appreciate that in the end of the day, if the former Prime Minister wins, is he going to sack all the policemen because they were in Jubilee? Are you going to sack all the civil servants because you trust them? You don't trust them? Are you going to sack everyone and employ new people who will come from Ghana, from wherever, from outside Kenya, so that they work for you, so that you are able to deliver to Kenyans? Are you saying you cannot trust any Kenyan to do anything good in this country? So which country are you going to rule after August 8th? If you can't trust any Kenyan who is doing anything good, and even which investor are you pulling in? Because for the last 3 years, I have not heard anything good from my former Prime Minister. Everything about Kenya is negative. Anything that Kenya touch is negative. So when you come in, which investor will come to you to invest in your government? Because everything was negative. So how are you going to run Kenya in 2 years? How are you going to ensure devolution works if everything is negative now? Where are you going to get your positivity? After 1 year? After 2 years? Then you don't deserve to serve Kenya.
And you should ask the former Prime Minister. Uhuru Kenyatta has said it publicly that if he loses this election, he is willing, he is ready to hand over power peacefully. We are yet to hear Raila Odinga pronounce himself publicly whether he will accept the decision of the Kenyan people, whatever it will be, after August 8th.
In fact, I would like to be able to add to just what my brother here said. In the history of this country, it is only Uhuru Kenyatta who has conceded. No other presidential candidate has ever conceded that they were beaten, except Uhuru Kenyatta. All the others, including this former Prime Minister, there's no time when they ever conceded, even in 1997. Thank you.
When he was position out in 1997.